Ladies and gentlemen, let us begin with a simple truth: laziness, that ever familiar shadow in our lives, is not the enemy we think it is. No, it is not some lurking beast waiting to sabotage our ambitions. Laziness is merely a signal, an echo of misalignment between what you do and what truly stirs your spirit. To overcome it, you must first understand its nature. You see, laziness often arises because we are at war with ourselves. Society tells us to march to a relentless drumbeat of productivity, achievement, and endless striving. We are conditioned to believe that we must be doing something, anything, to prove our worth. But deep down, part of you resists this mechanical urgency. That resistance is labeled laziness, but in truth it is your inner self refusing to be coerced into activities devoid of meaning. Laziness is often viewed as the ultimate adversary in our quest for success and fulfillment. It is labeled as a flaw, a weakness, something to overcome through sheer willpower and discipline. But what if this perspective is wrong? What if laziness is not the enemy we think it is, but instead a valuable signal and indicator that something within us is out of alignment? By reframing laziness, we can begin to see it not as a problem to be defeated, but as a message to be understood. At its core, laziness is a form of resistance. It is the mind and body pushing back against something that feels unnatural, uninteresting, or unnecessary. This resistance is not arbitrary. It arises because, deep down, there is a disconnection between what we are doing and what truly matters to us. When we force ourselves into activities that lack meaning or joy, the result is often a sense of inertia. This state is not a failure, but a clue, a call to examine our motivations and choices more closely. Society often compels us to move at a relentless pace, glorifying productivity as the ultimate measure of success. We are told to constantly strive, achieve, and produce, even if it comes at the expense of our well-being. In this environment, laziness is viewed as a betrayal of these values. But the reality is that this laziness often reflects an internal protest against the mechanical grind of life. It is not laziness in the true sense. It is your inner self saying, "This does not feel right. This does not inspire me," instead of pushing harder. Perhaps the answer lies in asking why you are resisting in the first place. Laziness, then, is an opportunity for self-reflection. It invites you to pause and evaluate whether your actions align with your deeper desires and values. Many of us follow paths dictated by societal norms, family expectations, or external pressures. We pursue goals that look impressive on the surface but fail to resonate with our inner selves. This dissonance creates a lack of motivation, which we misinterpret as laziness. The truth is that motivation flows naturally when we are engaged in pursuits that genuinely excite and fulfill us. When you are passionate about something, effort feels effortless. There is no need to overcome laziness because it never arises in the first place. Another aspect of laziness as a signal is its relationship with burnout and rest. In a world that values constant action, we often push ourselves to the brink, ignoring the need for recovery. When our bodies and minds are exhausted, they send signals to slow down. Instead of honoring these signals, we judge ourselves for not doing more, labeling this necessary pause as laziness. But rest is not a weakness, it is an essential part of the cycle of productivity. Just as a field needs time to lie fallow before it can yield crops again, we too require moments of stillness to recharge and regain clarity. By heeding this call for rest, we prevent true stagnation and set the stage for renewed energy and creativity. The judgment surrounding laziness compounds the problem. When we call ourselves lazy, we create a narrative of guilt and shame. This negative self-talk doesn't inspire action, it deepens the resistance. Instead of judging, what if we approached laziness with curiosity? What if we asked ourselves, what is this feeling trying to tell me? Perhaps it is signaling that we are overcommitted, working on something misaligned with our values, or afraid of failing at a daunting task. By understanding the root cause, we can address the underlying issue rather than punishing ourselves for the symptom. Laziness, then, is not an enemy to conquer, but a teacher to listen to. It offers a mirror, reflecting where we may have strayed from our path or neglected our needs. The solution is not to fight harder, but to realign. Ask yourself, what do I truly want? What activities make me feel alive and engaged? When you reconnect with your authentic desires, motivation becomes effortless. You act not out of obligation but out of genuine enthusiasm. Living in alignment with your true self also requires embracing the present moment. Laziness often arises when we are stuck in a mental loop, regretting the past or worrying about the future. This fixation paralyzes us, making even simple tasks feel overwhelming. The antidote is to focus on the now. Break tasks into manageable steps and take the first small action. Once you begin, momentum builds and the resistance fades. The present moment is where life happens, and action rooted in the now feels natural and fulfilling. Ultimately, laziness is not the adversary we have made it out to be. It is a signal that something within us needs attention, be it rest, clarity, or realignment with our true desires. By listening to this signal rather than suppressing it, we can transform resistance into insight, inaction into purposeful movement. Life is not a race to conquer laziness, but a journey to live in harmony with who you truly are. When you honor this harmony, laziness ceases to be a problem and becomes a guide toward a more authentic, meaningful life. Discovering your authentic desires is a journey into the very core of who you are. It is about peeling away the layers of expectations, assumptions, and societal conditioning to uncover what truly excites and fulfills you. For many, this is easier said than done. From a young age, we are taught what we should want: success, wealth, status, rather than encouraged to explore what resonates deeply with us. Over time, we may lose touch with our inner voice, instead pursuing goals that feel hollow or unaligned. This disconnection is often at the root of laziness or lack of motivation. When we act in ways that do not reflect our true selves, resistance arises and we feel stuck. To move beyond this state, we must begin with a fundamental question: what do I truly desire? This is not about superficial wants or fleeting pleasures, but about uncovering the pursuits, experiences, and relationships that bring genuine meaning to your life. Authentic desires are those that make you feel alive, connected, and fulfilled. They are not dictated by what others expect or what society values, but come from a deep personal place within you. They may be quiet at first, buried beneath layers of external noise, but they are always present, waiting to be discovered. The challenge is that uncovering these desires requires introspection, honesty, and courage. It demands that you look inward and confront uncomfortable truths about your current path. Are you pursuing a career because it aligns with your passions, or because it's what others think you should do? Are your goals truly your own, or are they borrowed from someone else's idea of success? To discover your authentic desires, you must strip away these external influences and allow yourself the freedom to explore your own values and aspirations. One way to begin this process is through mindfulness. By being fully present in the moment, you can quiet the constant chatter of your mind and tune into what feels right. Pay attention to the activities that make time seem to disappear, the moments when you feel most at ease or inspired. These are clues to your authentic self. Authentic desires are not always grand or life-changing. Sometimes they are as simple as finding joy in a creative hobby, connecting with loved ones, or contributing to a cause you care about. The key is to recognize what brings you joy and to honor that, no matter how small or insignificant it may seem to others. Another important aspect of discovering your authentic desires is embracing the idea that they may evolve over time. What you deeply wanted at one stage of life may no longer resonate with who you are today, and that's okay. Authenticity is not static, it grows and shifts as you do. The goal is not to find a single, unchanging desire, but to remain open to the process of rediscovery. This means letting go of the fear of change and allowing yourself to pivot when your heart leads you in a new direction. Authentic desires are also rooted in a sense of purpose. They are not solely about personal gratification, but often involve a connection to something larger than yourself. For some, this might mean contributing to their community, creating art that inspires others, or raising a family. For others, it could involve exploring spirituality, protecting the environment, or advancing knowledge in a particular field. Purpose gives your desires depth and meaning, transforming them from fleeting wants into enduring passions. The process of discovering your authentic desires also requires self-compassion. It is easy to feel guilty for not knowing what you want, or for realizing that your current path no longer serves you. But this journey is not about judgment, it's about exploration. Be patient with yourself as you uncover the layers of your true self. Celebrate small moments of clarity and trust that over time the picture will become clearer. It's also important to create space for this discovery. In a world filled with distractions, finding your authentic desires requires intentional effort. Carve out time for reflection, whether through journaling, meditation, or simply sitting quietly with your thoughts. Engage in experiences that push you out of your comfort zone, as these can reveal unexpected passions. Surround yourself with people who encourage you to be true to yourself, rather than pressuring you to conform to their expectations. Ultimately, discovering your authentic desires is about reclaiming your life. It's about living in alignment with who you are, rather than who you think you're supposed to be. When your actions reflect your true desires, motivation flows effortlessly, and life feels richer and more meaningful. Resistance and laziness fade away because you are no longer forcing yourself to move in directions that don't resonate with you. Instead, you are guided by a sense of purpose, joy, and authenticity. This journey is not always easy, but it is profoundly rewarding. It frees you from the weight of external pressures and reconnects you with your inner truth. And when you live in alignment with that truth, you create a life that feels genuinely your own, a life where each step, no matter how small, brings you closer to the person you were always meant to be. Living in the present moment is one of the most transformative shifts you can make in your life. It is simple in theory, but profoundly challenging in practice. In our fast-paced, achievement-driven world, the present often feels like something to escape, overshadowed by the weight of the past or the endless pull of the future. Yet, the present is the only moment where life actually happens. Everything else, the past with its regrets and the future with its anxieties, is a construct of the mind. When we live in the present moment, we connect with life as it unfolds, finding clarity, peace, and purpose. Much of the resistance we label as laziness stems from a disconnection from the present. When you're overwhelmed by the enormity of a task or consumed by thoughts of what might go wrong, taking action feels daunting. The mind becomes tangled in what could have been or what might be, leaving you paralyzed. This mental chatter creates a barrier, making even small steps forward seem insurmountable. But by focusing on the here and now, you strip away the unnecessary noise, bringing your attention to what can be done in this moment. And often the first step is all that's needed to break the inertia. The present moment is powerful because it demands no perfection, no guarantees, and no grand gestures. It simply asks for your attention. When you bring your focus to the task at hand, however small, you find that the burden of doing it all begins to dissolve. Instead of worrying about completing the entire journey, you take one step. That step leads to another, and before you know it, momentum builds. This is the essence of living in the present, doing what you can, right now, without being weighed down by the enormity of what lies ahead. Living in the present also requires letting go of the past. So often we carry with us the baggage of old mistakes, missed opportunities, and unresolved emotions. These lingering thoughts act like anchors, dragging us down and preventing us from fully engaging with the present. But the past is unchangeable. No amount of dwelling will alter what has already happened. What you can change is how you choose to respond to the past. By releasing it and focusing on what you can do today, you reclaim your energy and redirect it toward what matters now. Similarly, the future, with all its uncertainties, can be a source of great anxiety. We plan, prepare, and worry, hoping to control what is inherently unpredictable. While there's value in setting goals and being mindful of the future, excessive focus on it pulls you away from the richness of the present. The truth is, the future is shaped by what you do now. By fully engaging with this moment, you lay the foundation for what comes next. The best way to prepare for tomorrow is to give your all to today. Practicing mindfulness is one of the most effective ways to anchor yourself in the present. Mindfulness is the act of bringing your full attention to the current moment, without judgment. It can be as simple as focusing on your breath, savoring the taste of your food, or truly listening during a conversation. These small acts of presence ground you in the now, reminding you that life is not a distant destination but a series of moments to be experienced fully. When you live in the present, you also free yourself from the illusion of time as a rigid structure. You realize that the right time to start something is always now. Waiting for the perfect circumstances, the ideal motivation, or the guarantee of success only delays action. The truth is, life rarely offers ideal conditions. By acting in the present, despite its imperfections, you create momentum. You step into the flow of life, where progress happens naturally and organically. Living in the present doesn't mean ignoring the past or neglecting the future. It means not letting them control you. You acknowledge their existence, but you don't let them dominate your thoughts or dictate your actions. Instead, you focus on what you can do in this moment to move closer to your goals or simply to enjoy life as it is. This approach fosters a sense of balance and reduces the mental strain that comes from trying to live in multiple timelines at once. Living in the present moment also allows you to appreciate the beauty of life. When you're constantly rushing or worrying, you miss the small wonders that surround you: a kind smile, the warmth of the sun, or the joy of a simple achievement. Presence amplifies gratitude, and gratitude brings contentment. In this way, living in the present not only makes you more productive, but also more fulfilled. Ultimately, the present moment is all you truly have. The past is gone, and the future is yet to come. By embracing the now, you align yourself with life's natural rhythm, where effort feels effortless and joy arises naturally. You stop waiting for a better time to act, realizing that this moment, imperfect and fleeting as it may be, is enough. In the present, you find not only the power to move forward, but also the peace of knowing that you are exactly where you need to be. Embracing the natural flow of life is about aligning yourself with the rhythms and currents of existence rather than fighting against them. Life has its own pace, its own seasons of activity and rest, growth and stillness. Everything in nature operates within this flow, from the rivers that carve through landscapes to the changing of the seasons, each unfolding without resistance or force. Yet as humans, we often resist this natural rhythm, attempting to impose our own timelines and agendas on life. This resistance creates tension, frustration, and exhaustion, leading us to feel stuck or overwhelmed. But when we learn to embrace the flow of life, we find harmony, ease, and a deeper sense of purpose. One of the greatest lessons we can learn from nature is the importance of balance. A river does not rush impatiently to its destination. It flows steadily, sometimes slow, sometimes fast, carving its path in harmony with the land. Trees do not force themselves to grow. They absorb sunlight and nutrients in their own time, growing tall and strong without urgency. Similarly, we must recognize that life is not a constant race to achieve or conquer. There are times to push forward and times to pause, moments to strive and moments to simply be. When we accept this balance, we stop fighting against the inevitable and begin to move with life's currents. Resistance often arises when we try to control outcomes that are beyond our reach. We plan, strategize, and obsess over details, believing that we can bend life to our will. While there is value in effort and intention, there is also wisdom in knowing when to let go. Control is an illusion. The only thing we truly govern is how we respond to what life presents. By relinquishing the need to control every aspect of your journey, you open yourself to opportunities and possibilities that may have been obscured by your rigid expectations. Letting go does not mean giving up. It means trusting the process. When you embrace the natural flow of life, you learn to act with intention and then surrender the outcome. You understand that not everything will happen according to your plans, and that's okay. Sometimes what feels like a detour is actually the path you were meant to take. Life's flow often leads us to places we couldn't have imagined, but these places hold lessons, growth, and opportunities that are uniquely ours. Embracing life's flow also requires us to honor the cycles of rest and action. Just as the earth experiences seasons, so too do we. There are times when energy is abundant, creativity flows, and progress feels effortless. And there are times when rest is necessary, when the body and mind call for stillness to recharge and reflect. Yet, in a culture that glorifies constant productivity, we often view rest as laziness or weakness. This mindset leads to burnout and diminishes our ability to engage fully with life. By respecting the need for rest, we allow ourselves to recover and return to action with renewed strength and clarity. Another aspect of embracing life's flow is learning to adapt to change. Change is the one constant in life, yet we often resist it, clinging to what is familiar out of fear or discomfort. But change is not something to fear, it is a natural part of growth. Just as rivers shift their course and trees shed their leaves, we too must evolve and adapt. When we accept change as an integral part of life, we free ourselves from the suffering that comes from resistance. Instead of fearing the unknown, we learn to see it as a space for new beginnings and possibilities. To embrace the natural flow of life, we must also cultivate presence. The flow of life exists only in the present moment. When we dwell on the past or obsess over the future, we disconnect from this flow and create unnecessary tension. By grounding ourselves in the now, we become attuned to life's rhythm. We notice the subtle cues and opportunities that guide us, making choices that feel natural and aligned with who we are. Presence allows us to move with life rather than against it, creating a sense of ease and harmony in our actions. Ultimately, embracing the natural flow of life is about trust. It is trusting that life unfolds as it should, even when it doesn't align with our plans or expectations. It is trusting that every experience, whether joyful or challenging, has a purpose in shaping who we are. And it is trusting ourselves to navigate this flow with resilience, curiosity, and grace. When we align ourselves with life's natural rhythm, we find that effort becomes less of a struggle and more of a dance. We no longer feel the need to force outcomes or rush ahead. Instead, we move with the current, allowing life to carry us where we need to go. In this state of flow, we experience a profound sense of connection to ourselves, to others, and to the world around us. Life becomes less about striving and more about living, less about control and more about trust. By embracing the flow of life, we discover a path of ease, authenticity, and fulfillment. Transforming judgment into curiosity is a profound shift that can fundamentally alter how we experience the world and interact with ourselves and others. Judgment is a natural human tendency, a quick reaction to assess situations, people, or even ourselves based on ingrained beliefs, biases, and past experiences. While judgment can serve as a tool for survival, keeping us alert to potential dangers, it often becomes a barrier when overused or misdirected. It locks us into rigid perceptions and closes the door to understanding, growth, and connection. Curiosity, on the other hand, opens that door. It invites exploration, empathy, and a deeper engagement with life. By replacing judgment with curiosity, we move from a mindset of criticism to one of learning and openness. When we judge, we often act from a place of fear, insecurity, or discomfort. Judgment tends to be a defensive mechanism, a way to distance ourselves from what feels unfamiliar, uncertain, or challenging. For example, when we judge someone's behavior as wrong or strange, it might be because it conflicts with our own values or worldview. Similarly, when we judge ourselves harshly for a perceived failure, it's often because we fear inadequacy or rejection. In both cases, judgment creates a barrier, a way to separate, categorize, and protect ourselves. Curiosity, however, dismantles these barriers. Instead of reacting with criticism, curiosity asks, "Why is this happening? What can I learn here?" It invites us to dig deeper, to explore the nuances of a situation or a person, rather than settling for a surface-level evaluation. Curiosity doesn't assume, it inquires. It doesn't condemn, it seeks to understand. By adopting this mindset, we begin to see challenges, differences, and even mistakes as opportunities for growth rather than threats to be avoided or attacked. This transformation begins with self-awareness. Before you can shift from judgment to curiosity, you must recognize when and why you're judging. Pay attention to your inner dialogue. Are you quick to label something as good or bad, right or wrong? Do you catch yourself making assumptions about others based on limited information? Notice these tendencies without criticizing yourself for them. Judgment is habitual, and breaking the habit starts with noticing it in action. Once you've identified judgment, the next step is to pause and reframe it as curiosity. Instead of saying this is wrong, ask, why do I feel this way? What might I be missing? Instead of thinking, that person is rude, wonder, what might they be going through that I don't see? By asking these questions, you create space for compassion and understanding. You shift from a mindset of division to one of connection. Curiosity is particularly powerful in our relationships with others. Judgment often leads to conflict and misunderstanding, as it shuts down communication and creates defensiveness. When we judge someone, we project our own fears, expectations, or insecurities onto them. This prevents us from truly seeing who they are or understanding their perspective. Curiosity, however, fosters empathy. It allows us to ask questions, to listen without an agenda, and to approach differences with an open mind. When we're curious, we don't have to agree with someone to respect and understand them. This opens the door to deeper, more authentic connections. In the realm of self-judgment, transforming judgment into curiosity is equally transformative. Many of us are our own harshest critics, quick to judge ourselves for mistakes, shortcomings, or unmet expectations. This inner judgment creates a cycle of guilt, shame, and paralysis, making it harder to grow or change. Curiosity breaks this cycle by shifting the focus from condemnation to exploration. Instead of berating yourself for a mistake, ask, what can I learn from this? What might have contributed to this outcome? Instead of labeling yourself as not good enough, wonder, what do I truly need to feel fulfilled? What steps can I take to grow? Curiosity also helps us embrace imperfection. When we judge, we often hold ourselves and others to unrealistic standards, expecting perfection in a world that is inherently messy and unpredictable. Curiosity, however, thrives in imperfection. It finds beauty in the process of learning and growth, recognizing that mistakes and setbacks are not failures but essential parts of the journey. By embracing curiosity, we allow ourselves and others the freedom to be human, flawed, evolving, and worthy of compassion. The practice of transforming judgment into curiosity requires intention and effort. It's not about suppressing judgment altogether, but about redirecting it into a more constructive form. This shift takes time, as judgment is often deeply ingrained in our habits and beliefs. But with practice, curiosity becomes second nature. It turns what might have been moments of criticism or conflict into opportunities for insight and connection. Ultimately, curiosity is a gift not only to others but to ourselves. It enriches our understanding of the world and deepens our relationships. It frees us from the narrow confines of judgment and opens us to the boundless possibilities of exploration and learning. When we approach life with curiosity, we discover that there is always more to see, more to learn, and more to appreciate. Judgment may give us the illusion of certainty, but curiosity gives us the gift of discovery. And in that discovery lies the potential for growth, connection, and a richer, more meaningful life. Acting with choice, not compulsion, is about reclaiming your autonomy and living intentionally rather than being swept along by habits, impulses, or external pressures. It is a call to pause and reflect before reacting, to ensure that your actions align with your values and desires rather than being dictated by circumstances or conditioning. While it's natural to develop routines or default responses to life's challenges, these patterns can often feel like invisible chains, leading us to act out of compulsion rather than conscious choice. By learning to act with choice, you can take control of your decisions, find clarity in your actions, and experience a deeper sense of fulfillment and purpose. Compulsion often feels automatic, like a reflex. It's the urge to scroll endlessly through social media when you're feeling stressed, the instinct to lash out when criticized, or the habit of saying yes to every request out of fear of disappointing others. These actions don't stem from thoughtful intention, but rather from a reactive place. Over time, living this way can leave you feeling disconnected from your own needs and desires. It creates a sense of being on autopilot, where life happens to you rather than through deliberate choices. Acting with choice begins with awareness. You must first recognize the moments when you're acting out of compulsion. This requires pausing and paying attention to your internal state. Are you about to act because you genuinely want to, or because you feel pressured, anxious, or trapped? This pause is a small but powerful act of reclaiming your agency. It interrupts the automatic loop of compulsion and gives you space to decide how you truly want to respond. In this space, you can evaluate whether your actions align with your values and long-term goals. Choice involves asking questions: why am I doing this? What do I hope to achieve? Does this action move me closer to the person I want to be? Compulsion rarely allows for such questions. It operates in the immediate, seeking short-term relief or gratification. Choice, however, looks at the bigger picture. It invites you to consider the impact of your actions not only on the present moment, but also on your future self. To act with choice also means accepting responsibility for your decisions. This can be uncomfortable, as it removes the comfort of blaming external factors or others for your actions. When you choose consciously, you acknowledge that your life is shaped by your decisions, not by fate or circumstance. This responsibility is empowering, though, because it puts you in control. It reminds you that you have the power to change direction, to say no when necessary, and to prioritize what truly matters to you. A significant aspect of acting with choice is learning to distinguish between external pressures and internal desires. Compulsion often arises from a sense of obligation or fear of judgment, failure, or missing out. For instance, you might feel compelled to pursue a certain career path because it's what others expect, or to conform to societal standards even when they clash with your personal values. When you act out of choice, you question these pressures. You ask yourself whether they reflect your authentic desires or if they are simply inherited from others. Acting with choice allows you to define success, happiness, and fulfillment on your own terms. Acting with choice also involves embracing discomfort. Compulsion often seeks to avoid discomfort at all costs, leading us to make decisions that provide immediate relief but may not serve us in the long run. For example, procrastination is a form of compulsion, a way to avoid the discomfort of starting a challenging task. Acting with choice means recognizing that some discomfort is inevitable and necessary for growth. It's choosing to face the hard things because they align with your deeper goals and values. In relationships, acting with choice rather than compulsion can transform how you connect with others. Compulsion might lead you to react defensively during a conflict, or to agree to something out of fear of rejection. Acting with choice, however, encourages you to pause and consider how your actions contribute to the kind of relationship you want to build. It allows you to communicate authentically, set boundaries, and engage with others in a way that reflects your values. To consistently act with choice requires practice and mindfulness. It's not about perfection. There will still be moments when compulsion takes over, but about cultivating awareness and intention more often. Simple practices like journaling, meditation, or taking a few deep breaths before responding to a situation can help you develop this habit. Over time, you'll notice a shift in how you approach decisions, moving from a reactive state to a thoughtful one. Ultimately, acting with choice is about living with integrity and authenticity. It's about aligning your actions with who you truly are and who you aspire to be. It transforms life from a series of reactions to a journey of intentional creation. By choosing consciously, you step into your power, break free from the cycle of compulsion, and open yourself to a life that feels genuinely your own.